Bonjour and welcome to French Action. Do you have to write a fait divers in French? I know that some of you who will take the TEF or the TCF will need to write a fait divers of about 80 words minimum. Here's an example for you with some of my tips. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! So this part is the most important one. Why? Because you need to really put all your ideas together and answer those 7 questions. What is it are we going to talk about? Who is involved? Where did the event take place? And when? And how did the event take place? Why? And what are the consequences? So to talk about all this, you have to think about whatever you will be asked to do. So in this case, in this example, it's going to be an accident, a car accident, okay? So, what? A car accident. Who? A 36-year-old man. Where? In Vincennes, which is a suburb in Paris. When? Early morning. How? He lost control of his vehicle. And why? Because he was drunk. And consequences? He died. Alright, so these are all my ideas, and now I'm going to put this down on paper. Our fait divers will be divided into 3 parts: introduction, development, and conclusion. The introduction is very important because it's going to be the catchphrase which is going to grab people's attention. And in it, you're going to have to put really all the information. So I'm going to say here for my introduction, un homme âgé de 36 ans a trouvé la mort. So now I'm saying that he died, okay, en perdant le contrôle de son véhicule hier matin dans la banlieue parisienne de Vincennes. So basically I put everything: who, what, where, when. Now for the development, well, as it says, you have to develop. So you need to say really what happened. So here I'm going to say that he hit a pole. Okay? And I have to also mention the fact that he had drunk a bit of alcohol, which might be the reason why there was this accident. And I'm also going to add that he did it on his own. Nobody else was involved in the accident. So I'm writing: l'accident s'est produit peu avant le lever du jour. So that is to say that it was a little bit dark as well. So maybe that's why I didn't quite see what was going on. En revenant d'un mariage où il avait consommé de l'alcool, il a violemment percuté un poteau. Aucun autre automobiliste n'a été impliqué dans l'accident. So that is going to be my development. So in your conclusion, you're going to give the consequences of the accident. So in what I'm going to write, I have the fact that he was seriously injured, that he was taken to hospital, and that despite all the care he received, he died. So that's what I'm going to put in my conclusion. And that is going to be 86 words only. Even though, you know, we say 80 words minimum, we don't need to write a lot, because the more you write, the more mistakes you're going to make. All right? So, this is what I'm writing. Gravement blessé, la victime a été transportée immédiatement par les pompiers à l'hôpital. Malgré les soins qu'il a reçus, il a finalement succombé à ses blessures dans la matinée. This is what your fait divers looks like once you put all the parts together. So you first have your introduction, then your development and your conclusion, and you have to ensure that you have some space between each paragraph. So now I'm going to go through the vocabulary which I have used. Trouver la mort, to find death, just means to die. En perdant le contrôle de son véhicule, after losing the control of his vehicle. En perdant doesn't mean word for word after, but obviously that's what it means in the story, okay? Losing, en perdant. L'accident s'est produit, the accident took place. There's other verbs which you could use for to take place. Okay, you can say l'accident a eu lieu. For example, maybe that's the expression you know, but I wanted to use se produire. Gravement blessé, seriously injured. Have you noticed that there's an extra E at blessé? The reason for that is because I use the word la victime. La victime is a word which can only be feminine, even though the victim might be a man. So you have to remember to add the E. Then, il a violemment percuté un poteau. He violently hit a pole. La victime a été transportée. Was taken. Succomber à ses blessures. There's an expression in English to succumb to one's wound, which means to die from one's injuries. So this is the vocabulary which you need to learn for those kind of faits divers, if you have an accident, for example. Here are my tips. The first sentence needs to catch people's attention. What happened? That is the introduction. You have to remember that what comes after will be your development. So those other sentences will provide further information about what happened. And for conclusion, you will have to talk about the consequences of the accident. So my first tip here is to try to use a mixture of tenses, okay? So you know the passé composé because you need to use it to say when the action took place. At some point, you might have to use the imperfect for a description, for example, and even the pluperfect, which are actually used in my example, and that shows your competence in using the past tense. So I would advise you to not just stick just to the passé composé. Now another thing I would say, try to use some adverbs because they provide additional information and helps you to appreciate the impact of the accident. So for example, when I say that he violently hit the pole, I could have said he hit the pole, but not violently. So violently is there to show you, wow, you know, it's a big accident. All right? Another thing you need to remember is your punctuation. Very important to get the punctuation right. Have you noticed I put a lot of commas, okay, commas and full stop. Make sure you have your punctuation there. And I have a video which I made for you on French punctuation, on French action. So if you're not sure about as to when to use what, please have a watch. And I'm sure that you will find it very helpful. Spelling, you have to be careful. Look at, for example, véhicule versus vehicle. Looks very similar, but we have two different words. So please ensure that you check your spelling. The next point, and that I'm going to say it again, the word victim is a feminine word, even though you talk about a man. Whatever you're going to be using in terms of adjectives or agreement with to be will have to be in the feminine form. And the same for une personne. When we talk about une personne, it could be a man, but everything would be in the feminine form. And to finish off, I just would like to say don't write too much. I only wrote 86 words because I know that the more you write, the more mistakes you will make. And also, the more time it will take you. So if you have another exercise to do, especially for the TEF or the TCF, make sure that you don't write too much and then you have enough time to do the second activity. That's it from me. I hope you have found this video helpful. Please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Au revoir!